Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the life and music of a giant, Sidney Bechet. Our mission here is to figure out, how did this one person, mostly self-taught, completely change the game for jazz and even for his instruments? We've got some great material to explore his journey, trying to pull out the key things you really need to know.
And it's so important because, well, Bechet isn't just some name from the past. He's foundational. His sound, his approach, it's still there, echoing, even if maybe his name isn't quite as famous today as some others.
Right. So let's start at the very beginning. Sidney Bechet, born May 14th, 1897, New Orleans, Louisiana, right in the heart of it all. And he came from a Creole family, just steeped in music. Get this, his father, Omar Bechet, he was a shoemaker.
Yeah, shoemaker, but also played the flute.
And all his brothers played instruments, too. Can you even imagine what that house sounded like?
I mean, that was his music school right there. He started performing super young, tried a few instruments, but then really landed on the clarinet, and later, of course, the soprano sax. And the amazing part is he didn't have formal lessons. He learned by doing, playing alongside legends, Ken Oliver, Bunk Johnson, Freddie Keppard, just soaking it all up.
Yeah, learning on the bandstand.
Exactly. That kind of hands-on, real-world education, it just gave him this incredibly unique, sort of raw musical voice.
And that sound started to emerge pretty fast, didn't it? That really strong vibrato,
Oh, yeah.
that expressive pulse in the notes, and his own way of improvising, it made him stand out right away in that buzzing New Orleans scene.
Definitely. You knew it was Bechet when you heard him.
So his journey didn't stop in New Orleans. He went up to Chicago, New York, and then, really importantly, Europe. 1919, that seems like a key year. He's in London with Will Marion Cook's Syncopated Orchestra. And this is where it gets really interesting for his sound, right? He discovers the soprano saxophone.
He does. And he doesn't just play it. He fundamentally changes its role in jazz. He's really the first major soloist to make it a lead voice.
How did he manage that? What was different?
Well, before him, it was often kind of a novelty instrument. But Bechet, he used a wider, thicker reed, you see, which gives you that richer, broader, more resonant tone. And he combined that with his signature vibrato, that intense, almost vocal quality.
So it wasn't just technique. It was about the sound he was creating.
Exactly. He made it sing, gave it this deep emotional weight. It stopped being a curiosity and became this powerful, expressive solo instrument because of him.
And then comes his recording debut, 1923. That includes Wildcat Blues, which is just iconic.
Absolutely.
And people say he was one of the first to really develop that swing feel, His sound was so dominant, so full of emotion, it just pushed the music forward.
Yeah, he had this real drive in his playing, and his impact spread quickly. He was touring constantly in the 20s and 30s, playing with the biggest names, Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington. I mean, this shows how central he was right from the early days, both in the U.S. and in Europe.
His reach was huge. But his innovation wasn't just about playing the sax better than anyone else. He was doing other things, too, things that seem, well, ahead of their time, like overdubbing.
Right. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? 1941, he records the Sheik of Araby playing 6 different instruments himself.
6 instruments on one recording in 1941.
Yeah. It's an incredibly early example of multi-track recording, long before it was standard practice.
What does that tell you about him, though? Beyond just the technical trick.
I think it shows he had this almost orchestral vision in his head. He wasn't just thinking about his own part. He was hearing these complete layered sounds. He was building textures, arranging in his mind, even when the technology wasn't really there yet. It speaks to a really profound musical intellect, always pushing boundaries.
Always exploring. It really does show a different kind of genius.
Yeah.
And then there are his compositions, his versions of tunes that are now absolute jazz standards. Petite Fleur.
Lasagna.
Beautiful pieces.
And his take on Gershwin's Summertime, it's just definitive.
Completely his own.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And he even wrote a classical ballet score, which, again, just shows this incredible range, way beyond what you might expect from a jazz guy back then.
That versatility is remarkable.
So we mentioned his collaborations with Armstrong and Ellington. He also worked with Tommy Ladnier, Willie Lionsmith. These partnerships must have been incredibly influential.
Oh, massively. And think about his role in the Revue Negre with Josephine Baker.
Right, in Paris.
That wasn't just a show. It was a cultural earthquake.
Yeah.
It did so much to introduce real jazz to Europe and get people excited about it.
Yeah.
It shaped how the music was received over there for decades.
And his influence didn't stop with his peers, did it? He inspired later generations, too. Absolutely. Giants like John Coltrane, Charlie Parker. They looked up to Bechet. And Duke Ellington himself said Bechet was, quote, the epitome of jazz.
Wow. From Duke
But
Ellington, that's huge.
it really is. His recordings are foundational. They cemented the soprano sax's place in jazz, and they're still studied today for his sheer improvisational brilliance.
Now, his personal life,
Yeah.
it sounds like it was as intense and uh, dramatic as his music,
You could say that, yeah.
marked by huge successes, but also some real controversy, often linked to his fiery personality. There was even that incident in France, the shooting. He ended up serving jail time for that, right?
He did. Yeah, his temper could definitely get him into trouble. It was a turbulent life in many ways. But what strikes me is his resilience. Think about the Great Depression. Things got so tough, he actually quit music for a bit.
Quit music, what did he do?
He opened a tailor shop. Can you believe it?
A tailor shop. Sidney Bechet.
For a while, yeah. But the music pulled him back in the 40s. It shows that deep underlying drive. Nothing could keep him away for long. And remember, he was navigating all this as a black artist in a very prejudiced world, especially in America at times. Yet he kept going and found immense success, particularly overseas.
And he had relationships, too. He was married 3 times.
That's right. His last marriage to Elizabeth Ziegler lasted until he passed away.
And that moved to France in 1951. That became permanent.
It did. And France really embraced him. He found huge admiration there and financial success, too. Maybe his personality could be abrasive sometimes. People certainly said that. But it seems like in France, his undeniable devotion to his music shone through above all else. They really appreciated his artistry. It became his home.
So let's bring this incredible story toward its close. We need to talk about his legacy. He died in France, sadly, on his 62nd birthday, May 14th, 1959. Lung cancer. But his music, it's clearly not going anywhere.
Not at all. It's timeless.
And the recognition continued after his death. He's in the Downbeat Hall of Fame, the Big Band and Jazz Hall of Fame.
Yep, all deserved honors. But there's more.
Go on.
Get this for lasting recognition. There's a crater on the planet Mercury named Bechet.
On Mercury? Seriously?
Seriously. And several streets, parks, plaques, both in France and the U.S. It just shows the sheer scale of his global impact, doesn't it? Far beyond just jazz circles.
That's incredible. A crater on Mercury.
And his music keeps popping up in films, and countless sax players today still point to him as a primary inspiration. So, thinking about all this, what's the big takeaway for us now?
Well, I think it's clear Sidney Bechet was a true pioneer, a groundbreaking force. His sound was utterly unique. His technical innovations, like with the soprano sax, were revolutionary. His improvisation was just fearless. He didn't just play jazz, he actively shaped its direction. His recordings, his influence, his popularity worldwide. It makes him one of the absolute most important figures in the music's history, even if he's sometimes a bit overlooked today.
Absolutely. His story, it really underscores the power of a truly original voice, doesn't it? And what can happen when someone dedicates their life to pushing artistic boundaries. Maybe his journey, from this self-taught kid in New Orleans, navigating all the ups and downs to becoming this global icon with literally a crater named after him. Maybe it makes you think about where greatness can come from and how one single powerful sound really can echo around the world and through time. What's the one thing about Bechet's incredible legacy that really stands out to you?